Hello, everyone. It's me, and I'm back with another new moon vibe session. Yay! Just imagine I have sound effects and stuff. I'll probably start adding them soon enough, you guys, but I'm working with what I got. So, the new moon in Aries was on April 17th, 2026. Woo! Just hitting a little bit of sage. I'm recording today. It is April 22nd, so it's been a few days. Yeah, your girl, I just had to let that energy go on and flow through me. But here I am. What did it do? Okay. So just the basics. The new moon in Aries was on April 17th, 2026. It occurred at 7:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 6:51 a.m. Central Standard Time, and 4:51 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Woot! And it occurred at 27 degrees Aries. 27 degrees is a Gemini degree, so we have an element of the Gemini energy in the midst of all this Aries energy. Goodness. So yes, the day of the new moon, there was a seven planetary body stellium. Seven of the planetary bodies were in the sign of Aries. It was the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron, however we say it. All of them are in Aries, or were in Aries on that day. It's Taurus season now, so we only have 5, but that's still a whole lot. So we're still working with that go-getter energy, that new beginnings energy, just all that good stuff. The beginning of the vitality once again. Aries rules the head. So during all this energy, you might have experienced some headaches and things like that. Definitely head and neck. I know my head and my neck have been whatever. Yeah. So, like I always say, I don't want this to be too long. I know you guys got time. And just in the midst of all that, I'm just trying to organize it in a way in general. So let's get into it. Yep. Yep. All right, so the theme of this new moon for us as the Perlinwood Collective. Oh yeah, I'm May, Lady May, and I'm here with another new moon vibe session. New moon in Aries, let's get it. Gemini degree, 27 degrees. The theme, let it be. This pretty blue card. Looks kind of purple on the screen. It reads, if you need to solve a problem, ask yourself, what is the simplest way to proceed? When you call forth the simplest path, it appears, and vice versa. Let it be. So this is a blue color. It looks kind of purpley. I don't know if it looks purple to y'all. Okay, but this blue throat chakra energy for show. And then it says, ask yourself, what is the simplest way to proceed? When you call forth the simplest path, it appears, and vice versa. So basically, the words you use create your reality. That's the theme. And with that underlying Gemini energy, because I have this as a note, Uranus transitions into Gemini April 25th, 2026. That's 3 days from now of me recording. And then it was at a Gemini degree. And an honorable mention energy is Gemini. So, I say all that to say, Gemini is an air sign. Air sign deals with communication. Gemini rules the 3rd house, which is 444, protected communication. So, don't be afraid to speak your true reality, the reality that you genuinely wish to live, not necessarily narrate what's going on around you, but speak on the reality that you're going to live in. As time and energy continues to move forward and transform and transibulate, I made that up. Yes. Okay. And then we have the descendant, which is on the seventh, within the seventh house, which rules relationships. The key word on this is invitation. So, what are we inviting? The simplest path forward for ourselves, individually and collectively. That's what we're inviting. We're just going to let it be. Let the invitation be. I'm inviting nothing but beauty, wealth, and prosperity into my life. Okay. The descendant. But yes, it's on your seventh house. Let's read about it. I don't got my books over here. One sec. Got my book. Now we're going to look at descendant just so we can get it more precise. When the ascendant describes how you enter the world, the descendant is a place where you invite equal others to come into your world. It describes how you see these peers, what you project upon them, and what you were trained to respect in them. The descendant is where the sun would be at sunset. Action. Look at how you invite others to dance with you, to relate. Be welcoming while also keeping healthy boundaries in place. Once you feel comfortable about your ground rules for the people you bring into your life, it is easier to open your heart. If you notice that you keep people at a distance or avoid meeting new people, investigate this habit. Though it might have been important to protect you at one time in your life, consider how it is working for you now and what would help you feel safe enough to open this door. And I saw 444. So to me, and I said protected communication. So to me, it is a signal that, just like this says, if you feel reluctant to open your heart, if you feel reluctant to inviting, the life you actually want to live, like if you feel too blocked off to even speak your reality, a good practice for you would be setting healthy boundaries. Okay. And this is something that I've had to learn so hard. A boundary has like three parts. You have to describe, hey, like you have to speak up for yourself. Hey, I don't like that. Then you give a small why you don't like it and what will happen if the behavior continues. Hey, I don't like okay, this is petty and don't it's the first thing on my mind. Hey, I don't like when you walk by me aggressively because it makes me it makes me feel like I don't matter. And if I continue to feel like I don't matter around you, then I'm going to start spending less time with you. Very simple. Now, it does take courage and bravery. So, yes, you anything you do from the heart, anything you say from the heart is going to be protected. I say all that to say that. Also, notice in what areas of your life you ask other people to do your work for you. Sheesh. The descendant can point to what you might try to import from other people. While this practice can refer to an important skill in a work situation, it has its dangers in a personal relationship. If you feel disempowered, you might be drawn to powerful people. If you're an extrovert who inwardly craves emotional and spiritual intimacy, you might draw in someone who helped you cozy up at home. It's wonderful when others can help you develop latent characteristics within yourself. But if you ask them to do this work for you and they leave, there goes your resource. If you see them as only an extension of yourself, you can't really see them. When you develop your own resources, you can see these others as whole beings with their own needs and gifts. Challenge. You give your power away when, instead of working together, you ask others to be what is missing in yourself. Gift. Tend to the inlet to your heart. Invite in relationships that are clear, healing, nurturing, self-responsible, and encouraging of mutual evolution. So, it just seems like we're simplifying our lives. Okay, and I'm here for it. We have Shisandra Grace. You see the swine? And this card's like the Temperance card in tarot. We have Jupiter and Venus. Okay. This looks like a swan. Okay, I hope I don't sound slow, but do swan fly? Is this like an ibis bird? Whatever. But temperance. The middle path, moderation, things like that. Taking the spiritual waters and mixing it with the emotional waters and then just keeping it flowing like that. Keyword being grace. Jupiter is in Cancer. There is a conjunction today between Jupiter and the moon. I posted it on my community board. Alex Miles, love her astrology. She shared a post about this conjunction and Jupiter and the moon conjuncting. I'm not exactly sure what sign Venus is in right now. My guess would be yeah, I don't know. Taurus, maybe. Venus might be in Taurus. I don't know. Don't take my word for it. But let's say it is. Cancer and Taurus are both feminine signs. So they create like a sextile aspect to each other, which is a pretty easy aspect between planets. I would say it's kind of like the yin and the yang of the same element, or of the same. What do they call it? Polarity. There we go. They're the yin and yang of the same polarity. So we have water and earth. Yes, we have a water and earth sign. Shisandra, upright, inner beauty, inspirations, euphoria, visions, supernatural powers, synergy. Reversed, aloof, ungrounded, imbalanced, practice moderation, navigate the middle road. Guidance. Like the Temperance card in the tarot, the goddess holds a cup of water, representing the subconscious, as she crosses over a stream of water, representing the conscious mind. Shisandra's medicine teaches us about the high alchemy of beauty, grace, and the harmony of dualities. Like the medicine of Swan, Shisandra is here today to remind you of the grace within balance, patience, and moderation. You are being invited to allow life force to flow through you without force or resistance. Follow your visions and pay close attention to the subtle language in your body and surroundings. If you feel out of orbit or aloof, make time to ground. Grounding will only facilitate your development to a higher consciousness. So yes, I like all this interweaving of energies. These are all different decks, but it's all touching on the same things. This says invitation. This says we are being invited to allow life force to flow through us without force or resistance. Jupiter's in Cancer, which means allowing the expansion of mothering, of true mothering energy, nourishment, nurturance, patience, to allow things to grow. And especially if Venus being in the home sign of Taurus. I wish I really knew if it was, but I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I don't feel like getting it. And again, the sense of not being able to open your heart around people can cause you to be aloof, to be ungrounded, because you're not speaking, you're not utilizing the simplest path. Okay, so that is a form of resistance. Okay, because we're just at a time in life, like especially specifically now, where the reality that we're speaking into the reality that we are speaking, the words that we are creating, we are choosing to use to create our collective reality, is based, like, it's definitely the potent time to Speak more nurturance and more true divine mothering energies into the collective. Okay. Not all this fake mothering and all the dark mom energies. That's going away. Okay, but when you're not speaking out, because that is one of the notes on here, I had the root and throat chakra. When you're not exercising, when you're not expressing yourself, you called yourself to be ungrounded because you don't really know why you're doing things. And if you're always subtly feeling some type of way, like if that's the subtle language of your body, like you're always tense or you're always growling. Now, granted, there's a degree of resting bitch face or resting angry face. I get that. But that's when you pay attention to your body, and if that's the signals you're getting from your body, that's what we're speaking on. Listen to yourself. Listen to all your faculties. And then we have hope. We can just hope. Trust, faith, heal the past, hope versus expectation. And then trust that, you know, that there is a purpose to exercising the throat chakra, expressing yourself as genuinely, purely, and authentic as possible. Notice I did not say perfect, eloquently, any of that. Just express yourself first and then learn from those expressions. That is how the natural process of refinement and grace and beauty all begins. Okay, and you just have to trust it and have faith that the more that you practice allowing life force energy, mothering life force energy to flow through you, you trust and have faith that it's going to be worth it, that you're going to get something out of it that is beneficial for yourself as an individual and as yourself that is part of a collective, a healing, healthy, ascending collective that is the Pearl and Wood Collective. Holla. But yes, let's get into this next part. How is the energies directly affecting us as a collective? Bada boom, bada bing, we got Uranus. I was going to try to make a little rap there, but it didn't work. But yes, Uranus, keyword change. Uranus is transitioning signs very soon into Gemini. Uranus, it is the ruler, the modern day ruler of Aquarius. Pluto's in Aquarius. So, Aquarius, the humanitarian sign. So, what does this all say with the Uranus and Gemini? The keyword on this card, cross-pollinate. Change, cross-pollinate. Uranus and Gemini, I would say is going to directly affect us as a collective because the vibe of humanity is shifting from a very earthy, like the very first stages of materialization for for the collective. I don't know what I was trying to say. But Uranus and Taurus had a lot about the energy was a lot about us as a collective, that first formation of the new that was materialized when Uranus was in Aries. Now, in this moment right now, I don't know the exact time frame when Uranus was in Aries, but I know that in my journey that was probably like towards the end of it, that was when I first started paying more attention to astrology. So that was about 2014, 2015. So, and I think Uranus changed into Taurus in 2018. So I would say those years, about so 2015, 2016, 2017, and a few years before that is when Uranus was in Aries. And that's when the collective took on a new beginning. Okay, and then it moved through Taurus, which is the first materialization, because you have to understand that there's three earth signs. So Uranus and Taurus is that first wave of Earth energy. And now we're going to go through that first, we went through the first wave of fire energy. Now we went through the first wave of Earth energy, and now we're going through that first wave of air energy. So we're just all, it's like basically we're starting as a collective, we're starting our civilization over. We're cleansing it, and we're doing what we need to do so it'll be better, bubs, and just cleaner, purer, more refined, less ghetto, less war, less trash, less all that stuff that we're not trying to do with, you know? So, yes, communication. We are really going to be focused on how we communicate as a collective. And I just feel like this shift is going to be felt very, because going from that earthiness to that airiness, like, I definitely feel like that's going to be felt. Because I feel like all air signs are connected to the nervous system in some way, shape, or form. So Gemini is connected to the lungs, the hands, I believe the shoulders and the arms. Okay. Our shoulders and our arms and all that stuff, they give us a lot of movement. It gives our upper half a lot of movement. So I'm excited, to say the least. But this is the energy that's directly affecting us. I can read that for us, just to see, Uranus. Uranus acts like a cosmic clutch. It takes us out of one gear and after some chaos shifts us into a new one. Uranus is the modern co-ruler of Aquarius and takes 84 years to round the zodiac. Uranus was the first planet we discovered once the telescope broke the boundary of our known solar system and coincided with the Industrial Revolution when many technical and cultural assumptions broke apart. It embodies difference and eccentricity as it rotates in the opposite direction of most other planets and at an approximate right angle to them, with one pole pointing toward the sun. Sheesh. Very unique, hey? Action. Surprise or be surprised. Be ready to shift gears. It's time to experiment and try a fresh approach or new road entirely. If your life were a garden, now would be the time to scatter handfuls of diverse seeds, water them all, and see what grows robustly, and weed the rest later. Urgent anxiety can be a symptom of Uranian restlessness, so rather than just flailing about, look for the root cause and ask what change would actually solve the problem, and then it all circles back to the theme. What is the simplest path? Express yourself, baby. That's what. Express yourself. Okay, let it be known what you're inviting in, and let it be known that you're inviting in anybody that's down with what you're inviting in. Okay, and what is that called? A party. What looks like a disaster may bring a wild opportunity. If you are thrown a sudden or shocking change, assume that you are being tossed out of the nest into a potentially heroic journey. Chaos can be an important catalyst in a unnerving moment caught between forms. The discomfort allows and propels you to transform. Become your most authentic, eccentric self. You are just what is needed. Uranus also encourages technical upgrades and a cutting edge approach, whether that means acquiring new equipment or new skills. Challenge. Uranus electrifies. It may feel like your finger is stuck in an electrical socket. You are anxious to change, but you can spin your wheels until you shift into the new gear. Gift. Prepare for an evolutionary leap. Shocking circumstances can force you to engage gifts you didn't know you had and help you transform. You are not those external attributes in transformation. You will not dissolve. A caterpillar is still internally the same creature once it becomes a bird, once it becomes a butterfly. Okay. And then I feel like that leads nicely into our next card of what's working in our favor. We got progressions. So, collectively, we are progressing. Okay. That's why it is very important to trust that the more that we just express ourselves and refine it as we go, the world, like, time's just gonna keep ticking. Things are gonna keep flowing, and we have to trust in that. We have to trust in these cycles that are gonna go whether we actively engage with them or not. actively engaging with them is what is going to create a co-creative process instead of a just experience, like stuff just happens to you. Like, we are progressing through expressing ourselves and calling in what reality that we genuinely want for ourselves as a collective. That is the journey that we are all embarking on together. And Uranus, it said something about journey in it. Yes, if you are thrown a sudden or shocking change, assume that you are being tossed out of the nest into a potentially heroic journey. Who are we heroing? Ourselves first. And then everybody that's genuinely connected to us, we are also their hero. Okay, but don't get too caught up in trying to be the hero or the villain. Just do what you gotta do. Express yourself. Do you hear me? But yes, progressions. That's an area of astrology I haven't really tapped into because I just feel like when you read astrology for the energies, it all kind of says the same thing. So you don't necessarily like what the information you get from a progressive, say you get a progression chart reading or whatever, like it's going to tell you the same thing basically. Like if you read the energy and you read and you're in tune with the cycles, you're going to get the same. It's going to be the same. At least in my experience. It's the same. So I'm not really familiar with progressions. I said all that to say that I'm not really familiar, so I can't. I'm just going to read from the book. The planets continuously move through time and space. When you are born, you imprint the patterns of that moment, which are described in your natal chart. But the planets keep moving, and you also imprint the patterns they make as they progress through those first few months. These progressions sketch out the big, sweeping journey of your life. You live that pattern out at roughly the rate of a year to a day for the rest of your life. Once you are born, you can't choose the cycles you live through, but you always choose how you respond. Action. Progressions do not speak of a passing thing, but to the big, sweeping arcs of karmic fate, to your soul's journey. Your present situation may not make sense in the short term because it has more to do with big karmic patterns and how those interact with the karmic patterns of the world's progress, and less to do with your daily existence. Stand back and look at your life's journey. Think of the years you engaged with the world and the years you needed time for more personal work. Consider making a timeline or painting this landscape to see where you are in those big sweeping patterns. Dude. And there's so many ways to do that. Birth chart. I mean, all of us just as of the social climate, all of us are in tune with whatever generation we were born in. Okay, that's another way to look at your life's journey. Like especially if you have any type of awareness of your ancestry, like ancestry is a way to look. Your birth chart, just generation charts, history, just anything. These are ways to look at the karmic fate, your own personal karmic fate. Like the more in tune with your own individual ancestry, obviously the more unique types of answers you can get. But overall, looking into things like history, looking into studies like epigenetics and stuff like that, I feel like that stuff like that is working in our favor, and that's what's helping us progress. And that's what's going to help us integrate this new Aries energy from Gemini. But again, I've been talking about Uranus moving into Gemini for about a year now. I'm excited. Because my chart, I have a lot of air and a lot of water. I don't have a lot of that earth stuff. I got a little bit of fire. But no air girl. Not in the personal planets. I mean, no earth girl, not in the personal planets. I don't. So I promise you, the earth energy be challenging me. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be like, what? So you just get up every day and do the same fucking thing? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, hey, y'all are the masters of that. Teach me what I need to know. Anyways, this situation may feel fated, but the outcome is not predestined. Though you may feel uncomfortable, you always have a choice about how you respond and where you go. To help guide you in the moment, consider where you would like to be at the end of your life, a far distant point, and look back. Let this future become your lighthouse to guide you. Even though you may have to go around the rocks and work with the tides, let your lighthouse guide you. Your lighthouse, aligned chakra system. Okay, that's your lighthouse. That's allowing the life force energy to flow through you without force and without resistance. Okay, so your lighthouse is an aligned energetic body. Your physical body is aligned with your energetic body. Okay, I got some stuff on my channel that could help you with that. I think I still have my Linktree link. So yes, tap into the Linktree link. There's a video on there that explains the energy body, our energy body. I'll probably put it in the comments or the description. I forget that's an option to you. Challenge. This is not a small obstacle or opportunity. This is part of a complex pattern. Every choice you make changes how it unfolds. Gift. Trust the tides and set your own selves. Yes. Project hope into your trust. Okay? Don't just trust blindly. All right, and what is going to cause us challenges, discomfort, obstacles, etc. It's a unique card, so unique as far as the position. The challenge for us is going to be symbiosis. And wasn't I just talking about sextile with Cancer and Taurus? But yes, as a challenge, symbiosis. Symbiosis is like creating, is like the state of mutual, like it's a state of mutuality, from my understanding and my remembrance in this moment. Um, and that as a challenge, I mean, with all these things changing, like, of course, there are going to be those people that don't want to change. And you never know. That could be part of the sudden and shocking things that happen. There's going to be those people that don't want to change. There's going to be those people that are going to deny. They're going to say you're making stuff up. So, there's going to be that transition phase for us all where it's probably going to be hard. Like, we're not, like, it's not going to be easy. Like, we're going to have to put in effort. Okay. But I'm gonna tap a little bit more into that because when I first pulled it, I was like, interesting. How is that as a challenge? Okay. Trine and sextile planets promote collaboration by backing one another up, cheering one another on, and adding strength and value to their roles. A trine is formed by two planets 1/3 of the way around the circle from each other, 120 degrees apart. A sextile is half that, 60 degrees apart. Trine planets operate from the same element fire, earth, air, or water and speak that language. Sextile planets relate from the same polarity but in different modalities cardinal, fixed, or mutable. They operate like supportive, non competitive best buddies. Okay. Action. Lean into what is easy and comfortable and use that comfort to renew, grow, and expand. Look for people who have compatible and complementary ideas or skills to yours. Work with your allies. Gently expand your world through compatible people, collaborative skills, and through doing what you love. Look for a person who holds a missing piece of the project and bring them in. Find those whose work you approve of and invest in them. Engage family members and friends who really understand you. Explore what you have in common with a beloved and focus on that rather than on your differences, and build out from there. Wander in a favorite landscape and learn from what from what you find there. Play your favorite music but on a new instrument. Bring your attention to where the energy flows easily, where support can be found, where enthusiasm exists. Grow organically. When life is hard, a dinner with friends where you can laugh, relax, and let down your guard can be great medicine. What a balm to talk over your problems with someone who understands your worldview and to whom you don't need to explain yourself. Moments of ease can prepare us for the bigger challenges ahead. Now, here's the challenge. I love how this book is organized. Challenge. The path of least resistance can be both delightful and limiting. Don't get stuck in a comfortable rut. Okay. So getting stuck in doing everything that's easy. Okay. Becoming better as a collective is going to take some elbow grease, y'all. Okay. Because, I mean, I don't feel like necessarily everybody is just hedonistic, but if you're anything like me and have been raised in the Western culture, the Western culture has lots of unnatural undertones of just being a hedonistic bastard. Okay. Just indulging because for indulgence sake. Okay. And then we already basically with Shisandra, my girl. Okay. One of the meanings, it's like temperance. Don't overindulge and don't just indulge for indulging sake. Okay. That's one of the themes. We are simplifying, we are finding the simplest path. Okay. Simple doesn't necessarily always mean easy, as far as the effort that you have to put into it. You know what I mean? Simple and easy. Cousins, step cousins, low key. Gift. Lift one another up and grow. The comfort of compatible aspects can help us build up the resources needed to do the hard work and face the tough stuff. So, yes. Again, descendant. And the theme. Don't forget the theme. We're expressing ourselves, so the natural energy can invite in those that we can have these types of symbiotic relationships with. These easeful, yet nurturing of our growth relationships. Like finding that perfect middle balance. Okay, like this makes me feel good about myself and things, but not to the point where I'm overly comfortable to where I'm like, you know what? I don't have to change or do anything different. Forget what I was talking about. Like, no, that's not really what it is. All right, now we're reaching the end. The best way for us to utilize these energies. We got Neptune, another generational planet. And then we got Lion's Mane. It's associated with Mercury and Uranus. And Uranus is the higher octave planet of Mercury. Which simply means is just like if the personal planets are the individual, the generational planets are the collective. So basically, Mercury, how an individual mentally processes things, the higher octave of Uranus paints that out as, how does your individual communication process and style of thinking, how does that match, or how does that integrate, match, flow into the overall collective energy? So, for instance, Mercury is in Aries right now. Uranus is in Taurus, almost Gemini. So, because I don't know the exact degrees, but I would just say Mercury hasn't been in Aries that long, but Mercury moves pretty fast. So let's say Aries is in like the second decan. So 11 degrees Aries. I'm just making it up. And then Uranus is in the later degrees of Taurus. So let's say 28 degrees Taurus. Okay. They don't really form a conjunction or anything or a sextile. Now, if Uranus was already in Gemini and say Uranus was in like 7 degrees Gemini, then Mercury and Aries would create a sextile aspect. Okay, but I don't know what the aspect is. I don't know if it's that's what I'm saying. I'm not a professional traditional astrologer at all. But hopefully you kind of get what I'm saying. So if Mercury was also if someone was born with a Mercury in Gemini and then Uranus moves into Gemini, they have a That's a conjunct, which means like the energy flows seamlessly, for better or for worse. Okay, I spent a lot more time explaining that than I expected to, but we're here. The best way for us to utilize the energies, we got Neptune. Neptune is in Aries. Bada boom, bada bing. So, yeah. Like a cool blue pearl floating in an inky sky, this planet symbolizes how we float in the ocean of the collective conscience. Neptune, the modern ruler of Pisces, takes about 165 years to tour the zodiac. On a practical level, it signals water, liquids, oils, and art supplies. On a challenging day, it shows how we avoid gritty reality, whether we escape through our imagination, addictions, or martyrdom. On a lovely day, Neptune speaks of spirituality, imagination, and psychic perception. Action: pray, meditate, intuit, use your divination. Rest and dream. Activate the right side of your brain and step out of sequential logic into a sense of the infinite. Engage ceremony and ritual. Find a dream or vision and bring it back here to manifest. The dream and the vision, a better collective experience. Because Neptune invokes both intuition and imagination, it can blur the boundaries between the two. It's all too easy to believe that what you want or what you're afraid of is in fact reality, which can make it easy for others to manipulate you by playing to your hopes and fears. Take each step with care. Working with Neptune is like walking in the fog. You can see the present moment clearly. It's just the future and the past that get lost in the hopes and fears. If the world feels too harsh, or if you're feeling easily overwhelmed, tend to your sensitive antenna. Pray rather than worry. Neptune speaks of our psychic permeability, encouraging us to soak up our surroundings. Use that to your advantage and choose your surroundings carefully. Meditate with a group, tune into the trees, the earth beneath, the sky above, or sacred sites. Immerse yourself in whatever feeds you. Challenge: Neptune overwhelm can turn acceptance into passivity, imagination into illusion, sensitivity and the hunger for spirit into addiction. Watch for water damage. Gift: allow yourself to float, to swim in that great ocean of the collective consciousness. Soak up the presence of the divine soul. There is no separation between you and all sentient beings, between you and the realms of gods and spirits. Okay. So, we are meant to, with Neptune and Aries, we are at the beginning. So, in the zodiac sense, we are at the beginning. So, the collective consciousness is naturally tuned towards new beginnings, new beginnings, being go-getters. That's what we, in Aries, more positive attributes, starting things for good causes and, you know, being quick to get started and full of vitality and things like that. But it could also lean towards just being impulsive and starting shit just to start it, bullying people, just, all the lesser characteristics that Aries can be known for. And then we have Lion's Mane, leadership. Mercury's in Aries. So again, we're still dealing with that. And then Uranus, which is exiting Taurus. Let's read about Lion's Mane. So the best way to utilize the energies is be the leader of the visions, of the collective vision. Okay, we have to be leaders. It could be easy to sink into, just like it said, martyrdom, addiction, illusions, and things like that. Like, oh, things are never going to change, or things are always going to be hard, or whatever. We're not speaking that into existence. We're not plugging that in. We're not coding that into our vision. Okay, or our dream of a better collective reality for ourselves and for our descendants. Lion's mane, upright, sacred masculine. Leadership, ambition. Provider, strong willed, spiritual power. Reversed, egotism, vanity, self interest, lack of intention, forceful, apathy.
Yikes.
Guidance. The lion is a symbol of power, animus, the primordial essence within the sacred masculine that expresses itself as relentless determination, ambition, focus, and will. When we meet lion's mane, we immediately feel a regal and generous presence. When out of balance, vanity and overconsumption block the flow of love coming in to inspire ambition. And what have we been talking about? That aligned energy body with the physical body. Because what? We are allowing the life force to flow through us without force and without resistance. There we go. And that's what this is talking about. When we are out of balance, vanity and overconsumption block that flow. We're not doing that. Okay? We're not doing it. Power isn't powerful when you put others or yourself down. You are a wielder of raw power and may be destructive if consequences are overlooked. Lead your life from a place of compassionate leadership, and the rest will follow. Okay. Again, not doing things just for the thing's sake. Okay. You're not being a leader just to say you're a leader. You're not leading the collective dream just to say, oh, I'm the leader of the collective dream. No, we're leading the collective dream because we genuinely want humanity to ascend and progress, and for more and more people to allow the life force called love to flow through their being without force and without resistance. Whenever you get caught up in any type of bullshit, always remember that. Am I blocking the flow of love? Not romantic love, neither. Okay. Am I blocking the flow of the divine force that keeps the cycle cycling and and just everything that feeds off these cycles? Am I blocking that energy from flowing through me? Am I blocking it by not expressing myself, or am I expressing myself too much? Am I blocking it by just doing things to say I'm doing it, or am I doing it because I genuinely have genuine trust and genuine faith that it is going to be the building blocks of a new and better future? That's it, and that's all. Now, when it's spoken about, it sounds like a super serious process, but really, all we're supposed to do is all be happy.